Does this sound familiar to you? Can you resonate with this? If you have anxiety and nausea, the very first thing that you think of, I can't throw up in front of other people. That's usually the number one fear that people have when they have nausea and anxiety. So there's a couple of things going on here. One, there's some social anxiety involved. And just the fact that you're in front of other people and trying to come up with a conversation, or maybe going out to dinner, or maybe going to school, whatever the social situation is, you're afraid that, gosh, I feel nauseous, and what if I throw up in front of people? And that fear keeps you from going out and being social, and probably isolates yourself. And then what happens, that fear of throwing up keeps you home. And then when you're home, you're feeling isolated, you're feeling alone, you start to feel like you're not normal, there's something wrong with you. And you feel like, gosh, I have to stay home because I might throw up. That sound familiar? Can you relate to that? Lots of people do. And that's why I'm making this video. I've had people ask me to talk about the number one fear that people have with anxiety, nausea, is throwing up in front of others. Have you ever done this? Let me ask you this. Have you ever done it? Have you ever thrown up in front of somebody? Ever? Probably not. And yet, when you're experiencing that nausea and the anxiety on top of that, you just think, well, maybe I've never done it before, but what if I do it now? Right? It's this guessing game, this thoughts that goes around and around in your mind, right? You think, well, all right, just because I haven't thrown up before doesn't mean I'm going to throw up now. Just because something good happened in the past doesn't mean something bad won't happen now. And so that fear of throwing up in front of other people keeps you from really enjoying life. Now, I get it, right? I get the fact that you have anxiety. I get the fact that you have nausea. Put the two together, it's horrible. But if you always stay home and you never go out, you're not going to get that social connection that's so important. And one of the things that could really help you, instead of keeping it to yourself and feeling embarrassed and you're not letting people, you would rather just say, no, I can't go, or cancel plans because you're embarrassed. Instead of doing that, actually tell the people that you're going to go out with, maybe your friends or family, and try not to keep it to yourself, because that's part of the problem. When you keep it to yourself and you're not sharing your struggle with somebody, they don't know what you're going through. And then it creates this scenario in your mind of there's something wrong with you. You're a failure. You're not normal. They're not going to accept you. You're going to be embarrassed. You're going to do something. They're going to laugh and never be your friend again. And that's what happens so often when you're experiencing anxiety and nausea and of being afraid of going out in public because you might throw up in front of them. It really traps you. And before long, you're going to say no so many times, and all of a sudden they're not going to ask you to go out again. Or you're going to be trapped in your own home and not being able to enjoy the life that you're really wanting to. And so I want to encourage you to face the fear and work on, number one, telling people that you know that you're going to go out with, let them know that you're experiencing anxiety and nausea. Tell them it's hard, it's terrible. People are not going to know that you're experiencing this just by looking at you. You've got to tell them. And don't let the shame keep you from going out. Now you might throw up. Okay, let's go down that road for a second. What if you do throw up in front of somebody? Oh, it's the worst thing you can think of, right? But what if you did? Are they going to disown you? Are you going to get kicked out of the restaurant or wherever you're at? No. Are people going to laugh at you? No. But that's your fear. And the likelihood of you actually throwing up in front of somebody is very low. And if you're really worried about it, take something with you to throw up in if you need to. Now, all right, that doesn't sound the best, I get it, but What if you have this fear of throwing up in front of people, but then you go and actually do it and you don't throw up? Then you'd be glad that you did it, and it's going to be a lot easier to go the next time, right? But I get it. When you are so anxious and your stomach is, you have discomfort in your stomach, and then the anxiety is going to put you into this what if mode, and you just can't go there. But if you plan ahead and you try to do some breathing techniques, go for a walk, try to get your mind in the right spot, drink something, and maybe you go into a restaurant and you don't eat as much, but you eat something, but not as much. Or you take a lot of water, take a bottle of water with you. And a lot of times that can help you. But the bottom line is, most of the time your fear of throwing up in front of somebody is just a fear. That's it. It's just a thought. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. But so many people really struggle with this. That's why I'm devoting this video to it. Because if you are someone who has anxiety and nausea, and maybe you've had it for a long time, and the fear has kept you home for a very long time because you might throw up in front of somebody. And I just want to encourage you that, one, you're not alone, and so many people are experiencing the same thing. So many. And two, you don't have to be trapped. You can take ownership of this. You can't necessarily take away how you feel in your stomach, but you can take ownership. You can do some things. You can work on your mind, right? The thoughts that you have. You can work on not catastrophizing or going to the worst case scenario. You can work on telling the people that you're going out with that you're struggling, or you can think about your options. As long as we sit somewhere near the restroom if you need to, right? You have options. But the one thing is, I want to encourage you not to let the fear of throwing up in front of others keep you from going out, from keeping you from being social. It's a very natural feeling, but it's just a feeling. It's just a thought. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. And I don't want to downplay how you're feeling and you feeling that nauseous pit in your stomach, and maybe it goes up into your throat. I don't want to downplay that. It's real. It's very real. But I want to encourage you to lean into that fear and prepare and think ahead of what you could do. Instead of saying no and canceling on people and staying home because you might throw up in front of somebody, instead of doing that, make a plan. Make a plan of the things that you can do to work on your anxiety, nausea. What can you do when you go out? And go out somewhere, and whether it's at a restaurant or somewhere social. Or maybe you do it in gradual increments, right? Maybe you go to a park somewhere where it's not in front of a lot of people. But think about what are some things that you can do to help you lean into that fear. The more you lean into that fear, the less it becomes. And so the more you get out, the more you realize, you know what? I thought I was going to throw up in front of others, but I didn't. The more you're able to do that, the more confident you're going to get, and the smaller the fear becomes. That's what I want for you. I want for you to not be trapped at home, not be isolated at home, but to lean into that fear, build the confidence, have a plan, and go out with your friends. Go to the store by yourself without the fear of throwing up. And so that's the biggest thing. So don't let the fear keep you from going out. Have a plan. Follow through with the plan. And maybe do it little by little. Maybe it's just going out for a little bit and coming back. Maybe go out for a little bit more, come back. But you can do this. Don't give up hope. Try it little by little. Remind yourself tomorrow's a new day. You have to. You have to tell yourself, one day at a time, I've got a plan. I can do this. I'm going to be okay. It's a season and I'll get through this.